I'm Christine Stavropoulos.
Και εγώ ο Νίκος Σαμίδης. Και αυτό είναι το Greek Podyssey, το podcast της Ομογένειας.
A podcast for Hellenes worldwide, sharing stories, culture, identity, laughs and a little bit of tsugrisma along the way.
Γιατί μπορεί να φύγαμε από την Ελλάδα, αλλά η Ελλάδα δεν έφυγε ποτέ από μας.
This podcast brought to you by Natasha Karamiho, your trusted legal voice in Greece for all your legal matters, and Helco Consulting, trusted services for all business and investments in Greece.
Today, we're going to unpack and discuss the importance of language endurance and the importance of the endurance of books, which seem to be disappearing from the lives of children, regrettably. Both are important, and today we're going to engage in a very in-depth conversation with our two guests from Greece, Andrea and Lucy, on a magazine which I flipped through, and it's outstanding. But let's start with welcoming everybody. Welcome, Lucy. Welcome, Andrea. Welcome, Nico.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you for having us.
Welcome, everyone. As Christine said, we're going to discuss the importance of the Greek language and the analog book, the importance of the analog book. And I want to add how we can approach the target and the goal that we have, taking in consideration the new age, the digitalized world, and how we can achieve this through analog printing, and because books have their beauty, you know.
I said to Andrea and Lucy in the car, when we want to read to our children, we don't open our Kindle and flick through. We grab a book and we engage our child in the book, in the colors, in the visual, in touching the pages, turning over the pages, following the words. It's a sensory experience. And this is what, without, jumping over what our guests are going to say, let's welcome Lucy and Andrea and give us a little background on yourselves, the brainchild behind Το Ρόδι, which I love the name, by the way. Like Rodi, we spoke about the Rodi, Nico, in our previous, where we said Rodi exemplifies the seeds of life and renewal and longevity and continuity. So why don't we start with Lucy?
Thank you for having us. Yes, and prosperity is one of them.
Exactly.
And we do want to spread our seeds across the world with Το Ρόδι, and that's one of our goals. Το Ρόδι started back in the 70s. My mother was the publisher of the magazine, and we are reviving it both in Greece and to the diaspora. And our goal is to give access to children globally, content that is curated and made in Greece. And of course, we are open to having people from abroad to participate in that, and especially the kids. It's an interactive magazine. So we hope to have children join us in this journey of writing as well.
That's great. You're engaging them in a project that they will take part in. And if I just open up some of the pages, you can see that it is very child-friendly and engaging. It engaged me, and I'm a big child. And topics like, there was one that I say caught my eye because it was about the eye. It says here, το θαυμαστό εργοστάσιο or ophthalmos, about the eye. And then it goes into bits of the eye, and it's children-friendly graphics, bright and colorful. And then it talks a little bit about the eye. So these are, it's like a comic per se, isn't it?
A little bit.
A little bit.
It's an illustrated magazine, and we purposely chose to invite many different illustrators to participate in the creation of the magazine, and it's how we intend to move forward, because we also want to give a different aesthetic to every section. The Θαυμαστό εργοστάσιο, the wonderful factory, is based upon the body and every aspect of the body, because the body is a wonderful factory. And we chose to go with the eye for this zero issue, this kind of test issue of ours. And we had a good friend of ours who's a wonderful illustrator, illustrative for us. Every one of the stories or sections in it is illustrated by a different artist, and to a great extent how they chose to do it. And it is designed to attract children, and it's done in a way that is relevant to today. And because we're touching on the matter, the world that children inhabit today, the digital world they inhabit, is very colorful and very designed to attract them and bring them in. And we wanted that for the magazine. And so that's why the colors are the way they are, and the illustrations and the graphics, even the paper, the thickness of the
thickness
paper.
of beautiful paper. But even the themes have a social awareness, social conscious. This one, Borume, the Borume that talks about why we shouldn't throw away food.
So Borume is a project by Alexandros Theodoridis in Greece, where Alexander decided many years ago that food waste, throwing away food from company cafeterias and supermarkets, and not getting them to the people that need it, was an enormous waste.
Is the one that THI is involved?
I think it is.
I think
Yes.
it is.
I think
Yes.
so.
It is.
The Hellenic Initiative.
Bravo.
Yeah.
And so Alexandro, who we know, and Adonis Papatheodoulou, who is this wonderful writer, worked together to create the Dinosavro, the Givosaur, as we call it in the English vernacular.
The Greeklish
I
version.
love that.
Yes,
I
that's
love
nice. That's very
that.
nice. That's very smart.
Vino
Actually.
means give, and obviously we know dinosaur, so there's such a clever play.
It's a
Dinosaur.
on the
Greeklish
wolf.
version.
Greeklish, yes.
Okay, I want to ask, let's take a bit further back. How all this project started at the beginning? Like, I know your mom was the original creator.
So in
and,
1977, she started the first issue with three good friends of hers. They were women who had children and had traveled the world and had seen what was offered in the US. Back then, my mother was inspired by Cricket magazine. And she went back to Greece and she said, we have to do a magazine for children in Greece. So she thought of Το Ρόδι, and with her friends, they started this publication. It was a huge success at the time. There's a generation of children who grew up with this magazine and remember it to this day as being part of their upbringing, their aesthetic.
I remember it.
Yeah, you do. It was very important to them, and it was important to me. I was next to my mother during those years. I was in the printing room with her, and I thought it was magnificent what she was doing. So many years later, I decided to revive it.
So you guys are part of the Greek diaspora of America, of USA. Is that correct?
Well, we grew up in Greece, actually.
Okay.
But our parents, one parent is from America. My father is American, my mother Greek, and Andreas's mother is American and his dad Greek. So but we're born and raised in Greece, and we feel very Greek. We just have the privilege of being from both parts of the world and loving both very much, and understanding also what it is to be a person who's not only Greek.
Exactly. Nick Papa said we are hybrids. We have two words living inside us, and sometimes those two words are clashes together.
Or they enhance us.
And they enhance us, yeah. And that's how we build our personality, by having those two identities inside us. What do you think, Adrian?
I was going to point out, I think it's a privilege to be a Greek something, because you get to benefit from two different cultures wherever you are, whether you're Greek Australian or Greek American or Greek South African, whatever it is, you get to benefit from two cultures. We certainly would not be the people that we are today, and Το Ρόδι, the new Το Ρόδι, would not be happening if we didn't have that American influence in our lives, because part of the American influence is that you can do anything you set your mind to. And so lest anybody think that To Rodi is a simple venture that we sort of came up with and we're like, oh, we will just do this, and we did it. No, no, no. This is a project that has taken a lot of perseverance and stubbornness almost, and comes to a great extent comes from our belief that you can really you can at least try to do anything that you set your mind to. And yes, inevitably, when you come or live within two separate cultures, you will compare. And hopefully you will try to take the positive from each culture and bring it to the other. And I think that is something that is worth embracing anywhere in the world.
A blessing.
Well, we said earlier, before we went on air, that failure is not trying.
Right.
The fact that you're trying is a step towards success. It is, when your mum started the book, she didn't have the challenges of internet. Everything was books. So it would have been greatly embraced. We now have this clash between the digital world, technology, and books. And my personal belief, and I'm sure we all agree, we've got to get children loving books. We've got to get children touching books. We need to get children writing.
Mm-hmm.
It stimulates the part of our brain that technology doesn't, to actually have the mind going to the hand, going to the paper, and articulating a thought on paper. Books do the same thing, and I think our young ones are losing that connection, that very important connection. It's a scientific fact that they're saying that the portion of your brain that doesn't get used is the part that you lose when you're not writing. And it also staves off dementia.
Mm-hmm.
I read an article the other day that if we stop writing and we're just constantly doing this with our finger on scrolling, we're doing ourselves a huge disservice. I also want to point out, Nico, when we were driving here, Andrea and Lucy went to a couple of schools, and the feedback is, well, you know, a lot of the kids, they use screens now. We've got to fight against that. That's the battle that we have, Nico. We need to fight against kids just being given screens as an easy way out. And teachers and educators can say that all they like. It's parents that have the voice. It's parents that need to rebel against that ideology and say, no, we want our kids reading from books, writing, and familiarizing and loving books. What are your thoughts on that?
Can I say something?
Yes, of course.
To be honest, I don't miss the days that I went to school with 15 books, walking from home to school and coming back.
You have to carry them to school. You can read them at home.
No. Let me finish. We talk about the education. If you walk in a classroom these days, the only thing you see is laptops, MacBooks or whatever, and that's it. And maybe on the whiteboard, the old whiteboard, a projector. That's the way now things are happening. And I want to ask, with your question, Andrew, get ready, how you gonna compete to this digitalization of the years that we are now, the time that we are? Because if you want to approach through a book, you need to have a plan how to escape the digital world.
So I would say this, that you cannot give yourself over to one thing alone. I agree that we probably don't miss the days where school children carried, 5 kilos worth of books in their bags.
Maybe more.
And actually in Greece they still do. And we see it, and this is why they sell school bags with wheels. And our daughter Angelina, who is in the studio with us, also still carries books back and forth sometimes. But your question is, how do we compete with the screen? And the answer is that the greatest, as Christine said, the greatest ally you can have in this is a parent. a parent who will understand and accept that there is a time and a space for a screen, and there is a time and a space for a book. And because, unfortunately, regrettably even, sometimes it has to be hard. And why do I say that? I say that because it's true that scientific studies have shown repeatedly that the part of the brain that is stimulated by reading from a screen is different from the part of the brain that is stimulated by reading from a book. So the physical action of turning a page and the smell of the paper stimulate a different part of the brain. And so your brain imprints, learns what it's reading, remembers it differently. When you're reading from a screen, you lose that contact, and therefore the imprint on your mind is different. Now, when you're a high school student or a college student or an adult, there are ways that you will get around that. I'm not necessarily saying that's a good thing, but there's certainly ways you can get around that. But what we're talking about here, and what we should be talking about here, is the all-important up to 12 years old. That all-important age of up to 12 years old is where we need to focus as much of our energy and of our resources and our thought as we can. The problem, if you will, for a parent is that when you have a 7-year-old, and the 7-year-old is rambunctious and full of energy and wants to do things, the easiest thing you can do is give them a screen and say, here.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
The
here it is.
escape room.
Just leave me alone for a
Yeah.
little bit. We have to try and combat that. We have to say that you have 30 minutes on your tablet today, and you can also read this book, or here's a magazine. You know, To Rodi isn't coming to replace screens. To Rodi has been created by us because we looked around and we didn't see any alternatives. So when you hear parents saying that, I don't like screens, but I don't have a choice, that's the message that we heard. And that's what we reacted to, which was, you don't have a choice. Here it is. Here is something different. Here is a choice.
Yeah.
You can choose to utilize this as well in your parental
Package.
tools in your package.
And that's what I want to ask next. I'm pretty sure you have identified a few gaps. What are these gaps you have identified when it comes to children education and to bring the book closer to the kids?
Well, if we talk about every country, we'll have a different answer. Talking about Greece or Australia, and we probably don't know much about Australia to begin with. But I think what we are trying to introduce to these developing brains, as we were discussing earlier, is to give them something that is engaging. It's not only educational, we call it edutainment. It's something that they could have fun with. There's activities. And it's something that is going to serve the purpose to different kids with different interests. So we're going to have sports, and we're going to have about nutrition, and we're going to talk about mythology, and we're going to talk about giving. And we are going to have a wonderful story about Egyptian history. We're going to give them an array of things to see the world differently. We've realized that through technology, children actually get very specific things, their interests, there's algorithms, and they end up seeing the same things over and over again.
Important.
Here, we have curated something that is of high quality. It's original content. There's art form in there that you don't see online necessarily. And we are opening to children a different option to creative and new things, fresh, that come out of Greece. And this is why we're so interested in the diaspora, and we would like the diaspora to participate in this for children in Greece, is for these two cultures to communicate, because we do have the common denominator called Greece, whether it's the language or not. And that's why we have the addition also in English for kids who are not that familiar with the language, although we find it very important that they do learn the language. But we have little Greek words in there.
Yes.
We want to develop on that a little bit. We could discuss with educators in Australia what they want, if they want a study guide to come with the magazine. So we're opening up a bridge between Greece and the diaspora by doing this. So that's one gap that we saw, is that there's no connection between one and the other. And there are common things in children. And it could be more than just Greece, right? It could be the content. And we're here to serve that purpose.
What a wonderful idea it would be if schools, and I'll identify Greek language schools, the Greek that are run by the various organizations, if they, as part of their enrollment, there was a subscription, each child pays a subscription to receive the magazine. Is it a monthly magazine?
Yes.
See, I like the fact that it's also called a magazine. It's a child's magazine, which gives it a different spin. It's a magazine which entails subscription, continuation, different themes, which is why we all look forward to, I'll say, in the era of magazines. And I still like to flip through a magazine.
What's wonderful about a magazine is that you can pick it up and put it down many times over. And it's not a chapter book that could be a little bit tiresome for some children who don't want to read that long.
Or intimidating.
Yeah.
Or intimidating, for that matter. Thank you. So it's something easy. It's digestible. Eupepto, what we say in Greek.
What we're doing, we're sending our children to school to be educated, but are we producing smarter children? That to me is my concern. We are digitally, because you can see little kids now, they can navigate their way around a tablet and they go tick, 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 tick. But are we missing the basics? They're used to, the prompts. If you spell a word incorrectly, the auto-correct comes up, all those things. So we don't need to memorize words anymore. They're given to us. And that's my concern with education in children moving forward.
It is a very valid concern. And I think critical thinking, besides literacy, is our aim as well. First of all, one of our goals as a team is to speak directly to children and not down to children. And that means that you're taking them very seriously. And you want to give them something that they could think about, that they can question. We're not here to tell them what's right. We learn as adults from children so much. And the old To Rodi and the new To Rodi is there to do that. We're going to learn from the kids, and they can tell us what they need. And we want that critical thinking. We want them to tell us what they need to develop that, their imagination and their strengths as young people.
Can I ask, we have two editions, one English and one Greek. Why is that?
Well, we heard from very good sources that the children of the diaspora do not speak Greek very well.
Do not read.
And don't read or speak. So we thought of, let's do both and let it be a choice of the parents and their level of Greek. They could get both, in which case we do offer the second edition at a lower price.
But Nico, Lucy said that if in the English one, there are Greek words that appear.
Yes.
So there is Greek included.
Very little. Just
Yes.
notes enough
Just
to
enough.
familiarize themselves
Exactly.
with the words and the letters.
Ye-
But if
Nicole.
the themes are Greek as well, you're still introducing them to Greek themes. When you're talking about history, or
Sure.
if you do anything on mythology.
Exactly.
And that's not as obvious actually in this issue. We present it as something simple, but the reality is, Nico, that we did a Greek magazine, and then we spoke to some people who know the Greek American diaspora very well, and they said to us, this is lovely, but not that many children read Greek, and so this is going to be a hard sell.
That's true.
Why don't you do it in English? And there was quite a debate between Lucy and myself and a debate in the sense that
Constructed.
we went back and forth, neither of us really certain about whether it was something we wanted to do, whether we wanted to stay within the Greek language alone. And what we decided was that you still had something to give to the Greek children of the diaspora if you did it in English. You could tell them about Greece, not just Greek mythology, which, you know, Greek children everywhere can get about Greek mythology in every language in the world now, but other things that are important about Greece. Unfortunately, we already had the content, and so we weren't able to create new content that would reflect that understanding. So the next issue of To Ρόδι will have a bit more focus on some aspects of Greece that aren't as widely shared. An example of that would be Greek modern history. We have a lot of interesting Greek modern history. In my opinion, we don't do a very good job of teaching our young people about it. The way, rather, that we teach it can be kind of dull and fact-heavy and date-heavy. But there are ways to make that even more interesting and relevant for children today. You could talk about Bubulina as a child. You could talk about the history of the island of Psara, where my family comes from, and the theories behind how that island came to be, and what happened during the siege of Psara. There are so many different aspects of Greece. A teacher here told us that kids really love to hear about Greek customs and traditions. And the reality is that a child living in Greece can turn on Greek television. That's one thing they can do, is they can turn on Greek television, and on Ertena or Ertdio, they will see a nice little 30-minute documentary about the tradition in Komotini. You know, when they drop the dynamite off the cliffs in Santorini. The children in the diaspora don't have that advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can choose to curate that into the magazine. At the same time, though, the magazine is a general knowledge magazine. And so you still want to talk about science. And touching on what Lucy said, children today, I'll give you an example. A 10-year-old boy. What do the majority of 10-year-old boys like? They like soccer, basketball, cars. Okay? And certain animations. Okay.
Rugby union
Sure.
here in Australia.
Australia Rugby Union. And so when they're online, that's what they get. Nonstop, all the time. That is what the algorithm is throwing at them. So where is the ability to stumble upon something new that you didn't realize that you might be interested in?
Well, that's where parenting comes in, I think.
Well, you raised a great point, Andrea, and this is true, Nico. When we talk about history, it's the golden age, the ancient age. Kids aren't learning about the modern history in Greece, about the Hunda, about all those things. They don't really access that in
In
the diaspora.
Greece?
Here, in the diaspora.
Yes.
In Greece, they do.
Yeah.
But if this is a magazine that to engage kids of the diaspora, it's important for them to understand modern history of Greece as well,
Yeah.
which forms where Greece is today, and it's not touched on.
No.
So that's great to include content in child-friendly form.
Before we continue, let's have a break to go to our contributors, and we're coming back.
When it comes to investments and business opportunities, you need more than promises. You need experience that delivers. You need people you can trust. Helco Consulting provides strategic partnerships, clear methods, and services with a strong presence in Greece. Helco Consulting, your trusted consultants in Greece.
When legal matters affect your business or life, you need guidance you can trust. Natasha Karamihu provides expert legal advice, protecting your interests and navigating every challenge. Natasha Karamihu, your trusted legal voice in Greece.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about money.
You go straight away.
No. I mean, it's a fact of life. This is a top quality magazine.
Yes.
Beautifully illustrated. The
Yes.
content is insanely great. it would be quite expensive to produce. How does all that work with you?
So let's talk about money. First of all, for us, the purpose of the magazine, the goal of the magazine is not to make money. What we'd like to do is just break even at the end of it all. And so even if we have money that can be considered profit, we just want to give more magazines out, possibly to people who can't pay for it, possibly to schools. One of our advisors, Eleni Geroulanu, is the head of a project called Libraries for All in Greece. And what she does, Eleni is a wonderful woman, she gets together a package of 25 books and she sends them to schools. There are over, I believe, I might be getting the numbers wrong, forgive me, about 7,500 elementary schools in Greece. Many of them don't have libraries. They write to Eleni asking for books, and Eleni gathers funds and books.
Thousands of books.
Over her 10-year history, she's given over 1.1 million books.
Wow.
Out to schools, and she sends them in boxes. So it would be a great privilege for us to be able to send every one of those schools a magazine, at least one every month.
Yeah.
So we will never make money. Now
That's a good thing or bad thing?
it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Because the goal is not the money.
Goal is not the money.
Exactly
the goal is
right.
to get it out there for children. So that's something that I think is important for people to know. The other thing is that when we came to Australia, we had priced this at 14 euros a month, and it's an annual subscription, so it works out to 168 euros a year. And then when we said to somebody that it works out to 282 Australian dollars, they were like, that's really expensive. And the reason was because of the distribution. Like, mail is really expensive. So how do you lower that price and get it to a point where it might be more comfortable for people to get?
What's a yearly subscription to Netflix?
That's the argument I used to make, and then somebody pointed out to me that yes, but today's family cannot live without Netflix, but they can live without Το Ρόδι. And I'll take it. I'll accept that. I understand that. This is not
It's a good
something.
point. It's a good point.
that I'll
Yes, it's a
accept. I
point.
don't have to agree with it, but I accept it. So my answer is this. The way that you can lower the cost and make it more accessible to children, there's two ways. One is we would really like to work with every school that wants to give this to their students, whether to all their students, to some of their students, any way. And there's institutional pricing. That's one thing. So if a school comes and says, and we hope you do, that we'd like 100 copies a month to give to each of our students so that they can read it at home and we can teach off of it and help kind of develop this for kids, then, we will talk pricing. The other thing is that instead of sending it directly to your home, we can send it to a local point of interest, the Greek Kinotita in Melbourne, a school in Sydney, and you can come pick it up from there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something else that we're working on. So this way, instead of mailing it to 500 different places, we mail it to 5 different places, and then parents come and pick it up for their kids and give it to their kids, or the school can hand it out to the kid can go and ask for it from the front desk, the administrator, or whatnot.
This can work, I think.
So this is what we're trying to do.
Can I ask? Have you? I'm pretty sure you had your meetings, your connections here in Australia. How was the? How did it receive the?
How was the reception?
Yeah.
It's been very positive. We've had some conversations with people who thought that it would be difficult to get it, like distribution issues mostly. But the quality of the magazine, the content of the magazine has been exceptionally good from the people that we've spoken to. And to kids as well. We went to school and we read some passages from the magazine and they all raised their hand. They all wanted one. We gave them out to them. And that was wonderful to see that the kids were interested in it.
Nico, we hear a lot about wanting to teach our kids Greek. Speaking, reading, that takes a bit of effort. It's all right to say it, but you can't stop there. There's now a tool.
Yes.
If you're really committed to your child showing an interest, not only in reading or writing, but things to do with Greek, as you said earlier, culture, history, sport, you would say, okay, this is a tool that I've been looking for and I'm going to subscribe to it, irrespective of whether the school does it or not. Why wouldn't you? Like the slogan for this, for me, would be, why wouldn't you?
Yes. Thank you.
Just so for people to know, please do go to our website, torodi.org, torodi.org, and you can sign up there to our list, our mailing list, which will let you know when our subscription drive begins. We need 3,000 subscribers globally. Australia, Europe, which includes Greece, and the United States. The magazine will be printed locally in Australia, locally in Greece, and then distributed to Europe, and locally in the United States and distributed in the United States. Both for environmental reasons
And for logistics.
And for, yeah, exactly.
Logistics.
And we intend to launch a subscription campaign through Kickstarter in May. And what we would like to ask parents and educators to do is to support us by subscribing. If you're an educator at a school and you think this might be interesting, reach out to us. Let's have a conversation. If you're a parent and you want to know more, reach out to us. Let's have a conversation. And yes, please subscribe. We work with some of Greece's finest illustrators and authors and educators
And artists.
And
Yes.
artists, yeah.
Well, the illustrators are artists.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
they're
of
artists.
course there are. Yeah.
And we
they
work with some of the finest to put together this magazine, and we want to hear what people want. But we found that people are so willing to tell us, oh, you should do this. And I always say to them, and we can do this, but first we have to get it off the ground.
Off the ground.
Yeah.
First we have to launch it. And
I'd
get
like
it
to
there.
add here a few things. Going back a little bit to the money, I would like to add something to it. One of the reasons why we got on this journey was because we felt that children in Greece were left behind when it comes to the rest of the world, when it comes to a periodical. There's nothing for them. Greece is last in the PISA rankings, which means our schooling system is the last in all of Europe. And
That's interesting.
we are very concerned about that as Greeks. And we wanted, and this is exactly what my mother did, was to bring something to children that will add on to their education, but be something fresh, something new, something that is not taught in school.
And interactive.
And interactive. And she achieved that. And I hope to achieve that in Greece as well. And when we say that our subscriptions, wherever they come in the world, we want to provide to kids in Greece free copies. It's very important for us to spread this wonderful content to children who are not as privileged as the rest of us in other countries. And this is why we say that these subscriptions, don't only buy a subscription for your kid, but for other children in Greece that don't have the tools that yours have here.
That's very nice.
That's very nice.
500, and this is UNICEF's numbers now, 550,000 children, and children are considered up to the age of 18 in Greece. 550,000 children in Greece live one paycheck away from poverty in Greece. What does that mean? That means that families can't afford books. They can't afford To Rodi. When we started, we wanted it to be free. We wanted to create it and give it for free. We wanted to find people who would support it and allow us to spread it as far and wide as possible for free. And it is also important to say, because people can't see it and we haven't said it, there's no advertising in To Rodi. We don't advertise anything.
Important.
We're not selling any juices. We're not selling any candies. We're not doing any of that. It's not there. We're not doing that. And that's what we wanted to do. And we found out how naive we were and how difficult it was to get people to sign up for a project like that. So now what we want to do is we want to build our subscriber base. We want to get it to people that are willing and able to subscribe to it. And then we want to start creating it and giving it away to as many children as we can.
What a perfect gift for a grandparent to give their child for Christmas or birthday than a magazine subscription in their name and the excitement of that child waiting each month for the postman to arrive to open their magazine. They probably don't get too many things in the mail. So it's the perfect gift to, I always say the gift of books, but the gift of an interactive magazine from Greece with Greek themes and Greek language is the perfect gift to give your child. Give them a subscription. And if we can't, as a global diaspora, come up with 3,000 subscriptions, well, then we're doing something wrong.
Yes.
We don't care enough.
Yes.
Well, we were at Greek Language Day the other day at the University of Sydney, and we were talking about tools to promote the Greek language. So there we
Here
are.
it is.
Here it is. Rodi is a great tool to promote the Greek language, and also it helps a purpose, a cause, because kids in Greece will take a free copy.
It does.
So
yeah.
if you do your subscription, you buy for another kid in Greece as well
Exactly.
who can afford it, and that's so
There's the
good, so
humanitarian
beautiful.
aspect.
Please, Andrea.
You saw me get excited because our dear friend and advisor and supporter of To Ρόδι, Professor Tamar Khodos, who is the director of the AAIA at the University of Sydney, was at the same event. And she you know, we saw her when we got to Sydney, and she said, I was at the Greek Language Day event, and we were talking about tools necessary to keep the Greek language going. And she says, I wanted to scream from the top of my lungs, To Ρόδι, To Ρόδι.
Exactly.
It's there, we have it. And as many tools as possible. We even saw that the Wiggles
Yes.
children's channel show now has a Learn Greek aspect to it.
Yes.
Yes.
That Haris
Patsouris.
Patsouris
Χάρης Πατσούρης.
helped develop. The possibilities are endless.
Greek language and Greek culture to the diaspora, the kids don't get exposed to it from their schools. And that's the reality.
Well, for me, you need to use any tool you have in your toolbox if you want to achieve something. You can't stop. So you guys have a big load on your shoulders you carry on, and I'm wishing you from the deepest of my heart all the best
Thank
for
you.
this journey, because it
you.
is a journey, and I hope you enjoyed, as Kavafi said, this journey.
And we
We
all need to
are-
share the load.
we
We
are-
all have to, it's a collective load. We all have the responsibility as children of the diaspora, parents of the diaspora. It's a responsibility that we all have. So it doesn't just rest with on your shoulders. It rests on ours as well.
100%. That's a very
As
good
I've
point.
said earlier, a lot of people complain about things that are missing. And we felt that we have to do something about it instead of complaining to do something about it. And this is what we
A
came
lot of
up with.
whingers around, let me tell you. Not enough doers, but a lot of whingers. So we've got a couple of doers here. Congratulations on your
Thank
project.
you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you for
Congratulations.
having us on the podcast.
Fantastic. And it's great they're carrying your mum's legacy. I think that's a beautiful concept.
That's another thing, good, nice thing.
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
nice thing.
We
Thank
hope
you
to
so
see you
much.
back in Sydney.
Wow, thank you very much. I hope, yeah, exactly. Yes,
We're definitely coming back. We
Oh,
love
yeah.
it here.
We love Australia.
And best of wishes to your project and
Thank
your cause, because it's a very
Και
nice
τα
one.
παιδιά μιλάνε τέλεια ελληνικά, δεν είπαμε, γιατί μιλάνε...
Καλέ,
είναι
το
από-
ξέρω.
Μιλάνε τέλεια ελληνικά.
Ευχαριστούμε
Είναι
πάρα πολύ.
Έλληνες.
Είμαστε
Είναι
Έλληνες.
Έλληνες. Ωραία, γιατί ακούμε τα αγγλικά με
Κοίτα,
την...
χαλαρώσαμε κατευθείαν με τα ελληνικά.
Ακούμε ελληνικά με αμερικάνικη προφορά. Λέω, για να ακούσουμε, να τελειώσουμε με λίγα ελληνικά. Γιατί
Φυσικά.
τα παιδιά είναι Έλληνες από την Ελλάδα.
Παρακαλώ να πάτε στο torodi.org και να κάνετε sign up στο mailing list μας ή στείλτε μας ένα mail στο info@torodi.org. Θα χαρούμε να ακούσουμε από εσάς και θα χαρούμε για να έχουμε την υποστήριξή σας και να υλοποιήσουμε ένα ακόμα εργαλείο για τα παιδιά και της Διασποράς αλλά και της Ελλάδος που τόσο πολύ το έχουν ανάγκη και τα δύο.
Τέλεια.
Καλή επιτυχία.
Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ.
Ζητάμε συνοδοιπόρους και εσείς είστε δύο από αυτούς.
Ευχαριστούμε
πάρα
Ευχαριστούμε πάρα
πολύ.
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 Να είστε
Thank you
καλά.
very
Γεια
much,
σας.
everyone. We'll see you to the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this one.
Stay tuned for the Rodi. Thank you.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This podcast brought to you by Natasha Karamiho, your trusted legal voice in Greece for all your legal matters, and Helco Consulting, trusted services for all business and investments in Greece.
I'm Christine Stavropoulos,
Και εγώ ο Νίκος Σαμίδης. Και αυτό είναι το Greek Podyssey, το podcast της Ομογένειας.
a podcast for Hellenes worldwide, sharing stories, culture, identity, laughs, and a little bit of tsugrisma along the way.
Γιατί μπορεί να φύγαμε από την Ελλάδα, αλλά η Ελλάδα δεν έφυγε ποτέ από μας.